Las Vegas, and I'm joined by Hank Goldberg in Florida, and we are coming off a very eventful weekend in both college and pro sports, basketball and football, of course, I'm talking about. Hank, good morning, and I hope you had a good weekend.
It was okay. I went 3-2 in the handicapping contest this week. I don't know what that does to my standing, but I don't think it killed me. But there's 6 weeks to go. I got to get going with some big weeks. I made a big mistake. There was a gimme on the card. I should not have taken Denver with Osweiler, and I should have gone with. The only thing that held me up was I wasn't sure who was going to play quarterback for the Chargers, but that was a gift. With Buffalo going to a fifth-round draft pick and dumping their quarterback when they were really in the playoff. And there's an open spot in the AFC, and there's a bunch of teams competing, and Buffalo was one of them. And they just handed that game to the Chargers. And Tyrod wasn't having that terrible a year. At least he wasn't turning the ball over. Certainly not 5 times. And then, they threw this kid up there against one of the great pass rushers in the league, and he had no chance. And it was just a stupid move.
Yeah, your inclination was that it wasn't the head coach that made that move.
Well, the head coach on Monday said that, Tyrod would be playing, and then the next day he suddenly announces that Tyrod's going to be benched. And that smells of somebody up from upstairs telling him that they want to see this, they want to see somebody else in there and see what they've got. But that's not a coaching move. No head coach would have done that.
Pretty incredible. And then Denver, nobody ever mentions this guy's name as to being responsible for how bad the Denver offense is. I know they fired their offensive coordinator this morning, but there's a guy there that we all give a lot of respect to as being one of the great innovators and a great a quarterback in his day, Hall of Fame guy, John Elway. And isn't he responsible for picking these quarterbacks that he has on that team to be the...
Yeah, well, something, he made a good coaching move when he brought in, the previous head coach, and he also brought Peyton Manning there. So, he has to get credit for that because it brought them a championship. And that move worked out fine. But, after Peyton retired, they didn't have anybody behind them. And so, they just, now they find themselves floundering with, and I don't know if the guy they drafted is any good because he's been hurt. He hasn't had a chance to get off the bench, but certainly this guy they have is ridiculous. But it's not just him. Their defense is folded up. Remember, they brought in a terrible head coach, a guy who had no experience, who was the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins last year, Vance Joseph, who coached the Dolphins defense into last place in every defensive category, and he's the head coach. And now they've thrown the offensive coordinator under the bus, who's not a bad coach. And somebody had to be a fall guy there. And what happened to their offensive line? Well, Wade Phillips is gone now, and Wade Phillips is doing a good job with the Rams defense. He can still coach. The place is a mess. And John Elway is starting to take blame. People are talking about it now. What has gotten into his head?
Yeah, he's. There have been some very strange coaching moves. There's no question. I don't ever bring up the Cleveland Browns because
that game yesterday, watching the play calling, was a little odd. Although, the quarterback play at times, he moved them down the field at the beginning of the game, and and then he throws a horrible interception on the first series where they were on a 6-yard line, and you're just thinking, if they don't score on third down, so they'll get 3 points. If they're playing Cincinnati, which can't get out of its own way, so they take a 3-point lead, they should be okay. Instead, he throws the ball, one of the worst interceptions I've ever seen. I don't know what he could have been thinking, and, throws a pick six from the Cincinnati 6-yard line. It's a terrible interception, and Cincinnati takes the lead in the game. And one thing about Osweiler, he's not very good coming from behind, and they still had a couple of decent scoring drives, but they couldn't put it in the end zone. And then, late in the game, they still had a chance to pull the game out, but he failed again in the closing seconds. They had the ball on a 26-yard line with time to 3 points behind, time to generate a scoring drive, and he goes 4 and out. Not the man. And how many failures does he need to generate, and how many places before people realize it?
Yeah, this guy's gotten a real bonanza for the amount of money he's been paid for being. He's not even average. He's just terrible.
Yeah, he's got a good agent.
He definitely has a good agent. We should talk about some of the teams that are really shaping up now. They started the season off, kind of mediocre or poor, but they have really shaped up. And then there's a couple teams that nobody really thought they would be this good. And so when I'm talking about the AFC, you're looking at the Steelers and the Patriots. Started out a little slow in the year, but now they're really rolling. And in the NFC, I'm talking about the Saints and the Eagles. Man, are those teams good?
Yeah. Well, the Saints and the Eagles are the surprise. I don't think anybody's surprised by the Steelers and New England. But, the Steelers are loaded with talent, and, Belichick would make the Patriots good. So those two teams were destined to face each other in the long run. And the AFC has got a lot of weak teams. But, certainly the Eagles are the surprise team. And what I think Wentz turned out to be much better than people thought. And, he's got, and the general manager's done a great job there in providing him with talent around him. And they've made a couple of great hires. The head coach there is doing a good job. They hired Jim Schwartz to coach that defense, and he's a great defensive coordinator. And he's got an aggressive defense. And they've got some, strong players there. And, right now, they're in great shape. As far as New Orleans is concerned, they've got a good organization there. They've got a good general manager who's been in place for a long time. They've got an organization that's been in place for a long time. Sean Payton has been in place for a long time. They've drafted well. And, they went out and made a hire last week. They went out and they haven't given it up. They hired Mike Westhoff. Mike Westhoff is one of the great special teams coaches in the history of the game. He started with Don Shula in Miami, and then he went and coached the Jets. And he did a great job with the Jets for several years. And they brought him in there to help with the special teams in New Orleans. And he's 60 years old, and he can still coach. And he joined the Saints this week. So, they're making moves as the season goes along. They got rid of Adrian Peterson when he wasn't helping them. And they drafted well. They got a good young secondary, although that's probably the one flaw they have. Those guys need some experience. Once again, Washington ran up, a lot of points against them, and but they came from 29 points down in the fourth quarter, and Washington just has too many guys who are banged up, and they just couldn't hold on in that game. That was a great game. I said it would be.
Yeah, it was a great game. It was a good overplay for me. I enjoyed watching that. It was exciting as heck. We really have a top of the league and a bottom of the league, and I imagine there's going to be quite a few changes between now and the end of the season with regards to coaching and quarterbacks and a lot of things. Because some of these teams that are playing so poorly are going to have to do something going forward, make some adjustments to what they're doing.
Well, Jay Cutler has a concussion. I don't know what the Dolphins are going to do with him. He threw 3 interceptions yesterday against Tampa. I mean, that guy's an embarrassment. But it's not just him. It's the offense that Gase puts him in. He just keeps throwing those same short passes between 5 and 10 yards, and he's so easy to defend, it's ridiculous. And then he did the same thing the week before. He throws the picks at the worst time. And you know something? You look at the Dolphins and how screwed up they are. Now they have another incident where one of their linebackers gets into a fight in a bar, and they had to let him go, Maluga. So it's always the Dolphins. No discipline. I made a comment yesterday on CBS. I don't know what separates this organization under the Gase leadership from the previous coach, where there was no discipline and guys were always in trouble. And now you've got a quarterback situation there where they're stuck there. Where he's coaching an offense that doesn't work, and they're a mess. They're averaging 4.5 points a game in the first half this season.
Oh my God, really?
And this guy's supposed to be a quarterback whisperer and an offensive guy and whatnot. Give me a break. He's not ready to be a head coach in this league. They lucked out last year by getting into the playoffs. They kind of backed in the second half of the season. So he's got he's probably safe for another year. But this owner doesn't know how to hire. He's got a bad general manager. And the Dolphins are a mess. They've been through 18 quarterbacks now since Dan Marino retired.
They're on par with the Cleveland Browns in the number of quarterbacks that they go through. It's pretty bad.
Close.
Pretty bad. We've seen some teams really fall off the map. I mean, the Raiders were preseason. A lot of people thought the Raiders would be a whole lot better than they are because they're not playing well in any way, shape, or form. Dallas has fallen off.
The Raiders last year won all those close games, and now they're losing games, and now they're not even close. Their quarterback is not playing nearly as well as he did a year ago. I don't know if his injuries caught up with him or what. His offensive line can't protect him, but I mean, they were never in that game.
No.
Yesterday.
No.
I don't know what kind of changes they're going to be making in the off season, but they're a huge disappointment. And now. People are saying, well, they're not into it. The fans aren't into it. They're looking forward to the move. They're using all kinds of excuses. But the bottom line is that they just all those close games that they had a year ago are going the other way this year.
That's fair.
And they just haven't adapted. They look like they kind of quit.
I think I really think that it's potentially, other than the fact that they're still in the division where nobody's running away with it, I would say that's probably true. But Kansas City, which is one of the teams I want to talk about, they start the season off 5-0. Now they're 1-4 in their last 5 games, and they look absolutely pathetic. on offense.
Yep. Well, here's another case where this quarterback has just been playing miserably, and for some reason, the running back got off to such a good start. They're not turning to him, and he's not producing. And you just wonder what happened to that team. I know that they've had some injuries in their defense, but the Giants didn't do all that much against them yesterday.
No.
But Smith. Why did they draft this quarterback that they're so high on? What are they waiting for to put him in there? Smith can't hit. He can't make a first down all of a sudden, and they just he's now put together 3 bad games in a row, and now he's starting to throw interceptions where he didn't throw any early in the season. And his early season numbers are being reduced week by week. And, you've got this kid that they're very high on just sitting on the bench. Make a move. Do something. Andy Reid was supposed to be so great coming off a bye, 16-2. And they're playing the Giants, and the Giants are, a bad team. And, they go into the Meadowlands, and I know there were windy conditions there, but that was no excuse.
Well, they're blessed with the fact that they're in a division that there isn't a lot of challenges coming from, the other teams, except you might have to start looking at the Chargers as being a team that could overtake them. You do have some veteran leadership there with the Chargers, and if the Kansas City Chiefs are falling apart, the Chargers could catch up with them. Oakland is not doing very well. They're showing no signs of improving. The Chiefs go backwards, and the Chargers could pick up some steam. It could be very competitive going down the stretch with those teams.
Well, it's 500 record to win that division right now. And the only thing with the Chargers I'm not going to judge them by the fact that they beat Buffalo yesterday.
No, we wouldn't do that, but they do have a team that can make some noise, although they're not very good. They just have a couple.
Well, they've improved defensively.
Yes.
They've got 2 of the top pass rushers in the league on defense, and that's where they're better. Phillip Rivers is, he's okay at times. They've got a decent running game. But they have no home field situation that benefits them, and just when you think they're going to be good, they throw in a clinker.
No, definitely. There one other team I'd like to discuss. Well, first of all, it was the Rams and Vikings yesterday. Didn't turn out to be as close as people thought it would be. But what is going on with Zimmer bringing up the potential of starting Teddy Bridgewater? The guy hasn't played in 2 years, coming off a devastating injury. Thank God he's back. I'm glad he's able to play. But Case Keenum has played extremely well, and I don't think he's giving Case Keenum enough respect. And from what I'm hearing, they're dividing the locker room with this kind of conversation that Zimmer is promoting.
Well, he brought that up last week, and I think that conversation's over with right now. But that game was exactly what I thought it was. There was a grind. I thought the under was the play, and the under was never in doubt. What we saw was the Minnesota defense was the dominant force in that game, and Keenan didn't take any chances at all. He played very conservatively. They didn't let him do very much. He only threw for one. Did he throw for a touchdown pass? I think he did. But he was very careful, and they ran the ball a lot. But that game was just 2 teams grinding it out. And what happened was Minnesota stopped the running game for the Rams cold. Gurley did nothing, and that was really the difference in the ball game. And Goff couldn't do anything without the running game working. And so I think teams are going to play the Rams that way now. they're just going to try to gang up on the run and make Goff try to beat them. But Minnesota, they're going to be very careful with Keenum and not let him try to do very much.
He was 27 to 38 for 280 yards, 71% completion. He not bad, 7.4 yards per completion, per attempt, I should say. No, but in the type of style of play that they have with Murray and McKinnon, and Murray had 95 yards rushing. Keenum himself had 20, and McKinnon had 48. So they definitely outrushed the Los Angeles Rams in the game by quite a bit. And
yeah, they did, because the Rams just were shut down by Minnesota's defense.
That's right.
And but 7.4 yards per completion is not an outstanding
actually,
passing.
It's actually per attempt. I don't know what it was
per attempt.
Yeah, per attempt. Yeah. Well, it's exciting, and we got the teams that we thought in one conference, we got the teams we thought were going to be good. There's a game coming up in December with Pittsburgh against the Patriots. Should be quite a game to watch. And we got some good games coming up this weekend. Hank, I know you're going to have some games in college basketball, pro basketball. You've been doing quite well in both those areas.
Yeah, I've been really, not so much pro basketball, but I'm really into the college game. I got a couple of games today that I led. Marquette's got a good game. I tell you, I've been pointing out Arizona State. They came through for me yesterday, and so did Southern Cal. Those were the two games I liked yesterday. There's Ohio State yesterday. They romped. There have been some mismatches that teams that have been playing cupcakes early, and but there's some of these tournaments now. The Maui Classic, there'll be some good games there, and but I like Marquette today, and I like I think that's my best play, but I'm going to keep an eye on the college games. This isn't a good time to play the NBA. There's no real form other than the Celtics. Cleveland really doesn't have it together yet. And I think it's time to wonder what's going on with the Cavaliers.
Well, we know that this is the last year of LeBron's contract. Kyrie Irving bolted and got out of there, and that disrupted the flow. There's a lot going on in Cleveland. I'm not sure that we can count them out, but I think there's across the league, the teams have discovered they don't need to play all out, the full 82 games. They just need to get in the top 16 and make it to the playoffs, and then they can make their noise. So I don't think anybody over the 4-month period is going to break their neck. They're going to rest players. They're going to keep them home on trips. They're going to do that kind of stuff, and you're not going to see the full contingent out there every night. And I would expect that you're going to see LeBron and the Cavaliers going up against the Celtics. Of course, there's other teams in the East too that can make some noise, but they're all going to have to worry about what's coming out of the West, and the West is tough with the Warriors and the Rockets.
The Thanksgiving games on Thursday. The Dallas game is. I don't know what's going to happen with that one in terms of how exciting that's going to be, because they've got the Chargers going in there to play Dallas, and Dallas is probably going to get a couple of people healthy, I think, and then you'll find out how good the Chargers are.
There's been I know Dallas has some key people out. There's no question. So I can't really knock 100% Dak Prescott for not producing, but it really makes a difference to them when Ezekiel Elliott's out of the lineup. They are just not even close to what they look like.
I think I told you on Friday that the difference without Lee is huge to that on their rushing defense. That without him, they give up over 160 yards on the ground, and that's exactly what happened. And you saw what Ajayi did in that breakaway play that he had. Another brilliant move by the Dolphins, getting rid of their key running back.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think they had over 190 yards on the ground, but I think Lee could come back for their game on Thursday, and that'll be key for Dallas.
That would be a big key. Hank, we're running pretty long here. Everybody, Hank's plays and my plays are at jimfeist.com. We've got plays up there for college and pro each and every day. And thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Thanks,
Have a good
Hank.
night.
Thank you, Hank.